Today I'm gonna be critiquing my Instagram followers' haircuts, from the good, the bad, to the ugly. I told my Instagram followers to send me some DMs of their haircuts if they feel like they need help with their work. And today I'm gonna be critiquing and giving them advice on their haircuts, from where they went wrong, where they went right, and what I would have did in the situation to avoid a mistake altogether, or how I would fix a certain mistake. So this video is not only gonna be good for the barbers who submitted their work and gonna be getting hands-on help, but it's also good for the aspiring barbers who are watching and want to learn to mitigate some type of mistakes. So without further ado, let's get into the first one. Now the first follower's name is Juan Julio, and he says, "Send help, bro. I really got to work on my skin fades." Now before I even really get into this video, this is something that a lot of beginner barbers become a victim of, and it is not setting your guidelines up properly before you actually put in the fade. So before anything, I could see that he probably didn't debulk before he set his guidelines in, and on top of that, his guidelines are way too small. Now, some people have a problem of making the guidelines way too big, and some people have a problem making the guidelines way too small. It's something you go through as a barber in the beginning phases. So with him, he made them way too small. What I would have did is I would have debulked and used clipper over comb to connect the bulk to the shorter hair, and then you go ahead and start fading. So I use like a 2 open. Go up with a 2 open till about maybe right around here, depending on how high they want the fade. And then use clipper over comb to connect the two. And then you can go in, because the hair over here is short, you can start your fade and make it clean. And I would say use a little bit under an inch for each guideline, but in the beginning I would say an inch, just so you can get used to having defined guidelines. Now you could kind of see the same thing going on in the back. The back is really where it will show. If you guys don't stretch your fades, especially in the back, that's definitely where it's going to show. I think this is one of his first haircuts probably he's ever done. This is in the house, so you know, we're going to cut him some slack. Here's the second one. Now this one is better, but this is what we're going to do. This is where you can see the area right over here is where he could have used clip over comb, and this cut would have been way better, like off the rip. His blend could be a little bit better, but his blend, he can go outside and people won't say, "Oh, that's a crazy blend." You get what I'm saying? But this area right over here, he should have used clip over comb, and that would have cleaned up the haircut a lot more. You do see some areas in the back where it's kind of like unevenness, and that could be fixed with making sure that you use the same guidelines going all the way around the head. And he's had some inconsistencies in his guidelines when it comes to connecting the bulk. So some of it could have been cleaned up with clip over comb, but some of it might have already been too late unless he wanted to bring the fade up super high. So now we get to his third video, and this is his best haircut that I see out of these groups. He did a lot of good blending work, and I can't really see the bottom, so I can't really critique that. But based on the sides, he has good guidelines that he set through, and I could tell because the fade is decent. The fade is definitely presentable. So you could see the progression. I'm sure there's a couple weeks, couple months in between each of these haircuts, but it's definitely a work in progress. Now my next follower is Juan Blend. So we just got a whole bunch of Juans coming through today. But Juan Blend says, "Could you check my page and let me know what I could improve on with my haircuts and or content?" I'm gonna be doing a content version for you guys too. So this one is strictly haircuts. Next video, I'll help you guys with your content. All right, let's get into it. Now off the rip, I could tell you got some hitters on you in terms of your clippers. Now the lineup is decent. It's good, especially in terms of sharpness. Just an area where a lot of barbers have a problem with is the line being slightly slanted, and it's crazy because it happens to all barbers, especially me. It happens to me. But the way you check your work is you drop the head down, and you see that it's supposed to be a very slight U shape. If you look in the mirror, you're always supposed to have a mirror in front of you, a mirror standing in front of the barber chair. So the way to eliminate this and seeing like the tiny bit of slantedness, don't get it messed up. This lineup is solid, especially in terms of sharpness. But to fix that, the mirror will tell you everything as a barber. The mirror is going to tell you what side is higher than the other. And I think this side right here, his left, our right, could have been pushed up a little bit higher, but solid lineup. Now for this video right here, I can already tell there's a lot of enhancements going on. Now the enhancements could have been for 2 reasons. One, the chalk, there's not really much you could say about the chalk. Like the chalk is the chalk. He left the chalk line way too harsh. What you could do is use less chalk and make sure that you use a straight razor on the client after you put the chalk to kind of fade the chalk, and then you can brush it in a little bit too, so it's not too harsh. Because you never want to walk around with, like I know in Philly they be doing that, like they be walking around with the chalk line and all that stuff. But Definitely hit it with the razor. And on top of that, I can see you kind of use like a lot of enhancements in the C cup area. So if you have a client that wants to keep their C cups dark, it's better to do it naturally than to just do it super light and enhance it. So what I would say for you to do is don't hit it with a 1 open. Even though they're both a 1.5, the 1.5 closed leaves a little bit more hair than the 1 open. And that'll leave your C cup area dark, and keep a brush in hand, comb in hand. Because quartz hair, you gotta constantly keep brushing and combing it to make sure that it doesn't curl up on you in the middle of fading. But definitely keep the C cup area darker naturally, and then use the enhancements to enhance it, not really to cover it up. Because there's no doubt that the fade and the blend is clean, but you wanna be able to have your client leave the chair, and then a couple days when the enhancement washes out, the C cups are still dark. So that's really that. Now this haircut right here, same case. Like I could see it on the side right over here. And with straight hair, it is definitely more difficult to avoid this. This, you would have to do a lot of clip over comb in this area. You would probably use a 2, 2.5 to debulk it up to about here. Use clip over comb to get it to the point where it's low enough to line up, but it's still dark. So this one, I can see there's a lot of enhancements on the side. You're really good with your lineup work. I do have to say, you're really good with your lineup work, and I can tell your blends are good. But what you would need to work on is you need to make sure that you leave a lot more hair in the C cup area, because the enhancements don't last forever. I don't think you're using it as something to cover up flaws. You just need to learn to keep your haircuts a little bit darker. But overall, solid work. My next follower is called Little2_Barber. He says, hi, I'm an Italian young barber. I'm 18 and I started cutting since February. I'll show you some work if you want to teach me some tips. Okay, cool. So you're 18, you're a young barber, and you started in February. And the time when I got these clips, it was about August. So you've been cutting for not that long, really. You've been cutting for a couple of months. So let's see what the work is looking like. Bro, is that a freaking bogey, bro? You smoking cigarettes, bro? Come on. Listen, you telling me you 18, bro? We need you here for a long time to be able to give people these clean cuts, bro. There's no reason you got a bogey in your hand, bro. I could tell you nice with the content already just by, yeah, I'm not gonna hold you, bro. Your design work might be better than mine, I'm not gonna lie. Like, your cuts is clean, your blend is clean, and your design work is crazy. So for somebody, listen, for somebody who's been cutting from February to August, September, is not a long time to be cutting, and you got some crazy, crazy work. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see the second video right here. Like, you nice with the editing too. I feel like if you can get me some content for my content video, that would be great if I can give you some pointers on that too. But yo, like, your blends is crazy. You 18, you young, you haven't even been cutting for a full year yet. So your work is super solid. Like, your design work is crazy. And I'm not gonna lie, it's only gonna go up for you. So keep doing what you're doing, but put the cigarettes down. I'm not gonna lie. All right, my next follower's name is Mambo Cuts, and he says, man, I would love to hear some feedback on getting better with my haircuts and building my Instagram account. I started cutting hair 4 months ago. All right, so 4 months worth of work. Let's see what's going on with Mambo. Okay, off the rip, he only submitted one of these, and one of them I had to get off his page, but off the rip, I could kind of tell that you didn't debulk. And with coarse hair, like I did say, it is harder to debulk. So you can see close to above the ear area, you could have just hit it with a 1.5, like a 1 open to debulk all that and had a smooth surface before you go ahead with the fading. Like me, when I first started tapering and fading, it was the same thing. I was just going straight into it without debulking, but you have to debulk at first instead of just going into the fade. There's not much of a fade. It seems like it looks kind of just like a 1.5 going up, and then you kind of just try to taper the bottom. But you've been cutting hair for 4 months, so you know that's not nothing for you to feel discouraged about at all. And that's how it is in the beginning. Everybody starts off that way. Like, everybody starts somewhere, so don't be discouraged by it. We can see the potential, but you just have to follow the systems that's supposed to be put in place for you. So definitely keep working on it, but make sure that you're focused on spreading out your guidelines. Now let's look at you have a self cut that you put on your page too. Okay. Now this side of your taper is good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this is how I started cutting hair myself. Like, I started cutting hair on myself, and then once I got decent enough, I started cutting my brother's hair. Then it kind of was a snowball effect, my friends, all that type of stuff. But this side of your high taper is not bad at all. Could be blended a little bit better close to the bottom of the ear. Yeah, the high taper on this side is not bad at all. Let's see what's going on the other side. And I'm not gonna lie, you fake butchered the other side, but it's okay. Let's look at it one more time. So you can tell that this side of the taper is way higher than the other side. And the other side, like some people do like their taper this high, but it's never supposed to go this high to where it's almost touching the top of your head. Because at that point, it's a sky top at that point. So what you should have did is you should have kept the guidelines consistent with the other side. So what a lot of people run into the issue of doing is, especially when it's tapers and not fades and it's not connected all the way around, if you go and do a taper on your left side and then you go do a taper on your right side, you don't remember how high you set the guidelines in and how high you made each one. So what you should do is set your guidelines in for one side, then set your guidelines in for the next one, then go back and then fade each one in the beginning. That's what you should do, so you don't get confused with making guidelines here smaller than guidelines here. That's how you end up with inconsistent tapers and fades. So in the beginning, it's a lot of work where you got to set yourself up properly to get used to the systems that you're putting in place. So what I would say, in order: set your guidelines on one side, set your guidelines on the other, set your guidelines for the taper in the back, then go ahead and make sure that they're all matched, and then go and blend each one down. That's what I would do. But in terms of the blends aren't horrible. They're just uneven on both sides. I think the first side, like where I'm looking at right now, this side right here is way better than the other side. The blend is decent. It looks like you didn't do the back. I'm not gonna blame you because I never tapered my back either. I ain't even gonna hold you. Definitely, it's easier to cut yourself because you know how you like your haircut. And it is a little bit more scary doing haircuts on somebody else. So, keep doing your thing. 4 months is not bad for you to have this type of haircuts. Like, you didn't butcher anybody. You just could have did better. So, keep working and doing what you're doing. Now, my last follower who I'm going to be reacting to is Bandy. He says, I wonder if you can give me some advice on my haircuts and how to promote myself better. Feel free to put it in the YouTube video. Okay, so the promotion and all the content and all that type of stuff is going to go into another video. But I can help you with your haircuts. So let's see what you got going on. Okay, so this is a consultation. I'm not going to be critiquing the consultation. Okay, off the rip with this haircut, you're a victim of bringing your fade too high. Now, I did watch this video before because I wanted to see what the consultation said and what the guy asked for. This video, he asked for a low taper, and this isn't a low taper. It's like a mid taper that was stretched super far. So with you're a victim of not spreading your guidelines out properly. And the C cup is supposed to be a lot darker. So what I would do here is I would have probably brought it like a 2.5 and flicked up to around here. Use clipper over comb to connect this part and this part. So this is all one. And then you go ahead and taper that section that you made right there. So a lot of it is just, this looks like you took a 2.5 and just went kind of straight up and then tried to taper it in between. But when it comes to a low taper, the guideline starts at the bottom of the ear, the mid, it starts a little bit closer to where part of the C cup gets taken out, and then the high is getting rid of the whole C cup. So keeping that guideline and debulking correctly is super, super important. But overall, I think you could have clipped over comb behind the ear a little bit better. Design work is good though. Like some of y'all, I ain't gonna hold you, y'all better than me at designs, because I'm not. I could do designs and I'm good at them, but it takes me a little while, and on top of that, it's not my favorite thing to do. But y'all be killing it with the design, especially y'all straight hair client peoples. So this cut right here, let's see what he got going on. Another thing, the design work. And you see this cut right here is a lot better than the one he did before. You kept it dark over here because you knew that you had to keep it dark enough for you to have the design show. So a lot of times what barbers got to do is they got to start working backwards instead of working your way up. I have a hybrid fading method. I set my guidelines in, and then I start fading down, and then I might jump to the bottom line and then attack the middle line. Like, it all comes down to you being comfortable with your system. Not every system is created equal. I changed my system mad times before. So find what works for you, but definitely start fading downwards to avoid pushing up fades too high. The only thing that could have been worked on is this piece right here below the fade right here. I mean, below the design right here. So there's a little bit of darkness. You could have just used lever open to kind of flick out and clean up a little bit of that. But the design work is crazy. Like, I'm telling you, like, This is a better design than I ever did in my life. I ain't even gonna hold you. Design work is fire. See if you got any more. Gonna add this one to the stage. There's actually a guy in my shop, shout out to Angel, who does dyes and all that type of stuff too. So it looks like he gave him some highlights. And it looks like this cut is either enhanced, but this was another victim. This was a victim of the fade going too high, because you can tell that you tried to darken up the C-cups. I'm not sure if it's enhancements on it or you just left them that dark and then the blend isn't that great, but you brought the fade up too high. Not enough darkness over here. It's kind of like it just went from like skin and light all the way over here, then you tried to keep it a little bit dark over here. So could have done better on this haircut. Blend isn't bad, but don't use enhancements to fix those mistakes, if that makes sense. Now this last haircut, probably the best haircut. Clean blend, clean design, clean everything. You did a really good job with this one. I like seeing you guys progress in terms of your haircuts. That's why I didn't want to just do one, and I wanted to give you guys actual critiques instead of just bashing, because everybody starts somewhere. Like, I had bad haircuts, everybody had bad haircuts, but it's important for you guys to learn from them. That's why I'm giving you guys pointers on what to do. So if you guys enjoyed this and you want to actually be a part of this, make sure you guys hit me up on Instagram, give me a follow, and DM me your work and tell me what exactly it is you want help with, whether it's content, haircuts, or whatever, and I will make sure to get you in an episode. So I'm going to try to get one of these videos out once a week or once every other week, but hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to send me your work, send me your work, and I'll get you in a video. And hopefully everybody who participated in this video gained some knowledge. And I want to thank you guys for sending me your work to be a part of this. And make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm out of here.